saying, oh, I have a crush on this 15-year-old. It's a dumb screenshot. To make out with my dog like that, or to literally play with his pickle. Okay, listen. I am not racist at all. I just say that word because I want to. Poop Boy was laughing his ass off. I'm pretty sure that's at one of my Dragon Ball-esque speeches. Like, I'm pretty sure he's a fan now.
If you came across this man's page without knowing anything about him, your first thought wouldn't be danger, it would be concern for him.
Man, what the heck? Why I have 5,000 followers on my Instagram, but I only have 1,000 here? Y'all don't like me? I'm a crap.
Because what you'd find is a 23-year-old, who looks 45 by the way, from a small town in Illinois who speedran a mobile game from 2011, argued about his own ethnicity every single day like it was a full-time job.
I am pinche Mexican. Tu chinga, vete a la mierda, pinche madre.
And poured every drop of himself into a fictional universe that nobody asked for and he delivered anyway, with the kind of sincerity that makes you want to look away, not because it's threatening, but because it's so nakedly, completely disturbing. The internet watched, kept watching because it couldn't stop, went steps further to call him a lolcow and filed him under harmless. But he did a little heroic act, calling out some predator, which would have been fine, except the whole time he was pointing, calling out, drawing lines in public, something else was running underneath it. The same man was using his Discord server as a platform to carry out his disturbing fantasies by texting minors and telling them he has a crush on them. Not just that. For the Discord, a server he promoted everywhere, built his entire community around, ran with zero age verification. No gate, no filter, no barrier between the space and whoever wanted to walk into it. Once someone looked inside, what they found wasn't subtle. Explicit conversations running in open channels. Content that had no business existing in a space where minors were present and active. Screenshots that, once they started circulating, were very hard to argue with. The internet filed him under harmless, but little did they know they were deeply and completely wrong. So how does a man who spent years publicly calling out predators end up becoming the thing he was calling out? How does someone build an entire identity around drawing a line and then cross it so completely? And how did it take this long for anyone to look closely enough to see it? Christian Carey, popularly known as Mariolord14, has been online since 2016. Not in a way people followed or in a way that built anything. He was just present, uploading random stuff into a space that didn't respond. We went through his content years ago and his very first video is still very much up. A video of him and a friend fresh out of 8th grade talking like they're already made it to the part where people care.
Yeah, since it's summer for us, we could do it every day.
we just graduated 8th grade.
9 years pass and the numbers barely move, just over 1,000 subscribers. Most videos sit under 100 views, but the thing about Mariolord14 is that he just keeps uploading no matter what. At some point, it stopped looking like growth, it started looking like upkeep. The uploads kept coming not to push anything forward, but to keep the page from going quiet. By 2019, that showed in how he described himself on his Reddit bio. He put up a strangely blunt, almost funny caption. A thick boy that likes chicken and playing video games. Is also a YouTuber, has depression, and is a tourist. Also is a Mexican. He was just 17 at the time, and it read like he was covering ground in advance. Body joke first, then habits, then has depression, placed right in the middle like it belonged there. Then identity at the end, positioned like it was going to be brought up anyway. Around 2020, Mariolord14 moved to TikTok, with the same routine, song reviews, small skits, and videos. For a while, nothing changed. It was a different platform with the very same outcome. There was already this ongoing argument online about identity, people arguing over who gets to call themselves Mexican and who doesn't. Mario stepped right into that, planted himself there and made it clear where he stood. He said plainly that he was Mexican. But the thing is, the comment section didn't go with him. They pushed back, questioned it, even turned it into a joke, but Mario didn't drop it. Instead, he doubled down. Instead of letting some of the comments sit, he grabbed them, responded, then responded again and again. Every reply pulled more people in. The comments stopped being reactions and started becoming the engine to him being known on the platform. Here's a video of him replying to a comment that called him their favorite white boy.
I am pinche Mexican. Tu chinga. Vete a la mierda, pinche madre.
It wasn't one video anymore. It became a running argument. He stayed inside it, kept answering, correcting, and insisting. At that point, the content had already shifted. It was now about how long he could keep the back and forth going. Somewhere in that cycle, he found the label people had already been using. Lol cow. Mario basically looked it up, understood what it meant, then called himself a Mexican lol cow, repeating it and making it look like an awareness. Like, he saw what was happening and decided to own it. He even went as far as defending his fellow Mexican lol cows, and that, in the whole situation of this timeline, had to be the most hilarious thing he'd ever done.
Really? Have you not seen Toxic Red or Little Jaime? Are you stupid? You're not locked into a locale. It's space, whatever the hell they call it.
Owning it didn't change anything. He wasn't stepping out of that loop. Matter of fact, he sank further into it, and before anything openly serious showed up, before it got as dark as it eventually did, there were already moments that stood out. We don't know much about his background, that part stayed out of reach, but what he chose to put out was right there, and it said more than enough, because through the content, he was already showing exactly what held his attention. Mario built something he called the Marioverse, and he treated it like it was real. Not real in the literal sense, but real enough that it had structure. Characters, backstories, conflicts that carried over from one video to the next. At the center of it was Zago, the main villain, a character he described as something born from darkness, something that grew stronger over time and had to be contained inside his own mind after a final fight with his inner child.
For me? Hello, mortals. It is I, the one and only Z, or Zalaga, whatever you prefer. Yeah, I'm back after, what, months of Mario not making a video?
Then there's Vice. Originally another villain, but that didn't last. He reworked it. Said Vice wasn't really evil anymore, just edgy. His Riz side. You can actually see how flexible the whole thing was. These characters didn't have fixed roles. They shifted depending on what he needed them to be.
Now you tell me this? Z. Zalago. They have been...
Spectre is where it gets interesting. Spectre's a character he described as an anti-hero. Someone who entered his body planning to cause damage, then stayed because he got attached to Maruigi, the inner child character.
Again? He did it again? When are we gonna beat him up for taking so long? I swear.
And somehow that part worked. Not on a large scale, but enough to notice. People responded to Spectre. But that wasn't where things stayed. Because the Marioverse didn't remain contained, it started pulling in characters from outside. Female characters from children's media. Applejack, Lindsay, Nikki, Barbie. Not reinterpreted in any meaningful way, just inserted directly into his world. On one occasion, he casually said Nikki was his girlfriend.
I don't think I told you this, but like, in my imagination mind, because it's huge, like, my girlfriend is Nikki inside my imagination mind. Nikki's the fuck bitch, the black bitch.
The hilarious thing about Mario and his universe is he didn't play it like a joke, he delivered it like it mattered, and he did all of it himself. Every voice, every switch in tone, shot alone, edited alone, posted with full commitment, no irony, at least none he was willing to show. To understand what Mariolord was doing publicly, you have to understand the Nova beef, because the Nova beef was a whole function, not just regular content. First, there was Nova Online. Real name, Gabriel Gage. Already known in his own corner of TikTok, carrying controversy and being watched for the wrong reasons. Around that same time, Mario was building his own presence. Smaller, quieter, but moving in a similar direction. The comparison didn't come from them, it came from the comments. People started pointing it out. The build, the content style, the way they carried themselves on camera. It kept coming up. Neither of them liked the comparison going on. Mario especially didn't. That's when Mario turned toward it, started responding, throwing direct shots, calling out Nova's weight, his boxing clips, the way he hit the bag, the quality of what he posted.
Can someone explain to me why Nova looks like he's fucking pregnant? Bro. Like... How are you built bigger than me? And you say that you work out.
Nova, on the other hand, responded the way you'd expect, posting gym footage, answering the criticism without directly stepping into the argument. The back and forth dragged on long enough that Mario eventually sat down and cut together a full edit about Nova. Not a quick jab or something you post and forget, a whole video built around him holding all that energy in one place. And when he posted it on his YouTube channel, he titled it exactly how he saw it. Nova beef will never die.
Let me say I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you sneak this. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct.
At that point, it wasn't just content anymore. It was a running exchange. And through all of it, the comments kept circling back to the same thing. That they were similar. And that they were doing the same kind of content. And every time this came up, Mario reacted the same way. Disgusted. Not at the content overlap, at what came with Nova's name, because Nova already had a reputation attached to him. Allegations people were bringing up over and over again. Mario leaned into that next, made it central, and started calling Nova a predator directly, repeating it and building his side of the argument around it.
He's not a little cow anymore. He's a fucking horror cow, bro. This is...
But while that was happening, the structure of his content was lining up almost exactly with Nova's. Same food reviews, same Discord setup, same fan interactions, same format repeating. But then there's a detail that doesn't sit quietly once you notice it. The kind that makes you pause and start asking what kind of person Mario really was behind all of this. Not long after his TikTok started picking up, Mario posted an update. People had noticed his background kept changing. He explained why, saying that his dad got arrested. He also mentioned staying with his uncle while things got sorted, then went back to posting like normal. Later on, a troll page called Liquid Mario started digging into it. They went into public records and pulled the actual charge, which showed that Mario's father had been arrested for crimes involving a child. After posting that update, Mario moved on almost immediately, with no attempt to process any of it in public. On its own, that isn't strange. People keep moving because stopping means facing something heavier than they want to deal with, but it starts to stand out when you place it next to everything else that was already there. Because by that point, his content already had a pattern. The fan fiction built around teenage cartoon characters, those weren't one-offs, they stacked over time. And while all of that existed, he was also building a public identity around calling people like Nova online out for talking to minors, saying he had never done anything like that himself, even though the screenshots were already out there. So when you lay it all side by side, the father's arrest doesn't stand on its own, it sits in the same frame as everything else. Not as an explanation, just as something that happened, got acknowledged once, then slipped into the background when the same patterns kept showing up in his content. He treated it like a change in where he was staying. Then he went back to posting. And that matters because of the role he had already taken on by that point. There's a certain kind of presence online that builds itself around calling people out. Watching closely, pointing fingers, drawing clear lines, and standing on the right side of them. Mario stepped into that role fully. He made it a pattern, calling out other creators, naming them, framing himself as someone who could spot behavior others missed, someone willing to say it out loud, and the most poignant example of that was a person called Swag Ryan.
Trying to act like he didn't know what their fucking ages were. He fucking knew.
Swag Ryan was a minor, a teenager who had found his way into Mario's Discord server. The same server Mario promoted constantly, built his community around, and ran with no real age verification in place. Anyone could join, and minors did. Swag Ryan was one of them. While inside that server, Swag Ryan was exposed for behaving predatorily toward other players. Inappropriate conversations, the kind of behavior that, when it came to light, made the people watching deeply uncomfortable. And Mario condemned him, immediately, publicly, and with zero hesitation.
He was like threatening to do some stupid shit. SH ways, if you know what I mean.
Well, that was him, speaking with the certainty of someone who had never been on the wrong side of this conversation. What he didn't address was how Swag Ryan got there in the first place. His server, his rules, his decision to run it with no meaningful barrier between the space and whoever wanted to walk into it. Swag Ryan didn't find his way in through some gap Mario hadn't anticipated. There was no gap to find. The door was wide open. Plus, Mario had been promoting it on TikTok, so when he positioned himself outside of what happened, that positioning only worked if nobody looked too closely at the architecture. And then you put that next to this. Because while all of that was happening, Mario had been sliding into a 15-year-old girl's messages. Not accidentally. He opened the conversation himself, asked her to show him what she looked like. She responded, then asked how old he was. Told him he was too old and she was just 15. Also pointed out to him that it was right there in her bio, visible to anyone who looked. His response didn't slow down. He went on to ask her what that had to do with anything, even proceeded to say he had a crush on her. She had given him every off-ramp available, her age, a direct request to stop. He drove past all of them. The same behavior he had just finished condemning in Swag Ryan. The same behavior he had been making content about calling out in Nova. The same line he had drawn in public loudly, repeatedly, he crossed it in a private conversation like it didn't exist. At this point, Mario isn't just a predatory lolcow, he's a hypocritical one. The callouts, the server rules, the public moral positioning, none of it was separate from what he was doing. It was the cover for it.
I did not text a minor. I did not forward a minor. I didn't do anything like that at all. I've seen the screenshot like 50 times at this point, so I know it's AI.
So when the screenshots surfaced, the first response wasn't accountability. It wasn't even a real attempt at explaining. It was a flat denial dropped like a period at the end of a sentence, as if saying it wasn't real was the same as it not being real. Then a few days later, everything got pulled into one place. January 21st, 2025. A YouTuber named Po'Boy uploaded a video. Nothing in it hadn't already existed somewhere on the internet in some form, but this was the first time it wasn't scattered. It was structured. One piece leading into the next.
Sound when you can look back, but here is a video of him making out with his dog. Pretty gross. And
he started with the oldest footage, a video of him kissing his dog in a disturbing manner. However, Mario made a response video to Po'Boy stating that he was doing all of it because he's a fan.
Po'Boy was laughing his ass off. I'm pretty sure it's at one of my Dragon Ball-esque speeches. Like, I'm pretty sure he's a fan now.
No engagement with anything specific, just a blanket dismissal and a pivot to the idea that attention, any attention, was really just admiration in disguise. The response video didn't last, came down not long after it went up, but Po'Boy had already archived it, and the focus had already moved, because a second video followed, and this one had something harder to explain away. The screenshot between him and the miner. Mario's response came in stages, each one a different shape of the same move. First, it was a trust argument. The screenshot looked bad to people who didn't know him. People who did know him would see it differently.
For people that don't know me, it looks incriminating. For people that know me, it's kind of obvious that this is not real at all.
When that didn't land, the explanation upgraded.
At this point, so I know it's AI. Only thing that's real in there is...
Now the claim was that the entire conversation had been fabricated, that someone had constructed a fake DM thread using artificial intelligence and planted his real photo inside it. He didn't explain who would have done this or why or how they would have accessed his photo. He just stated it as if the assertion was its own evidence. And then the final layer.
Let me be so for real for a second. If I did do this, I would have said something about it. Like, seriously, I would have said something about it if I did do this. So, because y'all know how I overshare.
The proof that he hadn't done it was his own personality, his track record of sharing things. The idea that if he had sent those messages, he would have told people himself, therefore the fact that he hadn't told people meant it never happened. Anyway, the DMs were one window, the Discord was another, and the Discord showed the full structure underneath everything else. He talked about that server the way people talk about something they genuinely need to work, made videos about how empty it felt when the numbers were low, curated playlists for it, promoted it on TikTok with the energy of someone running a membership drive.
Okay, now, I am not kidding. You need to join this right now. If you win, you get a Fortnite card. You're getting a fucking Fortnite card and a...
The server had rules listed. Be nice to the mods, be nice to Mario, no slurs, no offensive pictures or memes, no age verification. Anyone could walk in, and they did, minors included. The most documented of them was Swag Ryan. By February 2025, TikTok pulled the main account at Mariolord14. He went to Instagram to vent, and in doing so confirmed something. This wasn't a single strike or an automated flag catching one video, it was multiple violations. A pattern serious enough that the platform ended the account entirely rather than issuing another warning. He had 59,000 followers at the time. Around the ban, he entered what people started calling the drinking arc. Videos of himself visibly unsteady, slurring, doing shoutouts with a drink in his hand like the alcohol was a costume.
Ow. Shit. My peoples, I am very drunk. This isn't a lie. Just look at my f***ing eyes, bro. Like, I am physically gone at this point.
Funny thing, This performance wasn't convincing. The slurring, the stumbling is mostly inconsistent, and those subtle chuckles don't seem real enough. It worked the same way as every character he'd ever built. A layer of theater placed between himself and whatever was actually happening underneath it. If you're playing a role, the person behind it stays untouched. Mario later created a new account. Within a year, it had 17,000 followers. The audience that came back wasn't confused about who he was. Lolcow followings don't work that way. They follow because of the history. They're there specifically for the next chapter. Same food reviews, same character bits, same beef format, same Discord rebuilt from what was deleted. He was also on Roblox, posting his avatar, talking about the servers he was in. Roblox is a platform built primarily for children. Its online multiplayer infrastructure connects adult accounts directly into the same spaces as children's accounts. The account is running. 17,000 followers. Nothing about it reads like a reset. Same content, energy, same Discord links in the bio. If you found it without context, you wouldn't know anything had happened in between.